Astronomer, and it's by Walt Whitman, and it was written during the 1800s. And it's a free verse poem, which means it doesn't follow any rhyming pattern. And it goes like this. When I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were ranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and the diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I, sitting, heard the astronomer, where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon unaccountable I became tired and sick, till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself, in the mystical moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. So I broke it up into sections and then kind of took it line by line. I had to read it over a few times before I was really able to extract any real meaning from it, because at first it seemed like it was kind of cut and dry, but then I realized there was something deeper to it. So in the first 4 lines, the speaker or the narrator is recalling, he's attending a lecture and he's listening to an astronomer who's speaking about all sorts of, he says, proofs, figures, and columns. So the astronomer is spitting off all these long, drawn-out statistics and numbers and equations, and as they relate to the stars and as they relate to astronomy. And the speaker of the poem isn't necessarily impressed by all of that.
Please excuse the interruption. At this time, all 9th grade students with the last name beginning with J through L, please report to the auditorium for height, weight, and vision screening. Attendance is mandatory. Thank you.
So like I said, the speaker of the poem isn't really impressed by all the statistics, while the rest of the audience seems to be really impressed. In the next 2 lines, the narrator feels very ill and decides to get up and leave the lecture hall by himself. So he's broken away from the astronomer's lecture and from the rest of the audience. And in the final 2 lines, once the speaker is outside, he notices all the stars up in the sky and he no longer feels nauseous. And no words are able to describe what he's seeing. And after having heard the astronomer describe all about the numbers and the equations and all the mathematics of it, he doesn't really look up into the sky and see numbers, he looks up into the sky and sees stars. So, I guess the equations and numbers don't really seem relevant to what he's seeing, and he sees them for what they are, and he feels that no words are really able to describe what he's seeing. And none of the technical terms used by the astronomer could really sum up like the beauty of the night sky. So I think one of the main themes was a person sometimes needs to separate themselves from the crowd to experience a different perspective. So that was portrayed when he got up and left and was able to see it for himself. And cold facts can sometimes obscure deeper meaning from an observed event. Whitman may have been trying to convey that leaving nature unsolved and mysterious is better than turning it into something systematic. And then this final quotation, this isn't my interpretation, this is something I found when I was researching it, but I thought this was kind of important. Science is an incredibly valuable tool to help us understand the complexities of the universe, but we must guard against allowing it to indurate us to the wonders of nature. So some people really, when they overanalyze it, they think he's saying that science isn't important or that it shouldn't be taken seriously or that it's, But I think he's saying the opposite. I think he's saying it's important, but not to look too far into it. So.
Don't read too much into it, huh?
Yeah.
All right, good job, Teanna. Give her a hand.